Berkshire managers here today. Retailers are actually in the eye of the storm right now as tariffs disrupt supply chains and drive up costs. For more on how the industry is adapting, we are joined by Irv Blumkin. He's the chairman of Nebraska Furniture Mart. And Irv, it is great to see you today.
Great to see you too.
So we get the special privilege right now of talking to some of the managers who are actually running the businesses, trying to deal with any of the potential changes that are coming and on their way. Greg may be pretty involved with what some of your companies are doing. I don't get the sense that Warren is paying a close attention. He trusts you to do those things. What are you doing to try and prepare for any potential tariffs that come down or tariffs that you are paying at this point?
Well, it's very interesting. It's very disruptive. It's tough to make a plan. And we've been very patient in just waiting it out. And, we've got alternative strategies to deal with it depending on what we know they're exactly going to do. We're at a point right now where we've got July 9th is a big time for us to figure out what to ship, what not to ship.
July 9th?
July 9th.
Why that day?
That's the date somebody's going to need to make a decision whether the tariffs stay at 10%.
Oh, the 90 days in. Okay.
The tariff stays or it goes up to 40 or 50, depending on what country we get it from.
So what are your dual kind of paths, depending on if there's...
So we're trying to ship as much as we can by mid-May. So the goods we have, we know exactly what we're going to pay. And then we're just going to take a wait and see and be patient, be able to adapt. We have a lot of resources, both domestically, that we can rely on, and gives us a broad base to be able to make those kinds of decisions. And
wait, domestic manufacturers that you can use instead?
Domestic warehouses that have brought in goods, that they'll have plenty of goods to cover themselves for a very short period of time, because there is going to be a time where, depending on what happens after the 90 days, where you may see a short supply of goods from overseas.
Irv, I want to go back to a long time ago, back in 2007. You and I got to travel with you and some of the other Nebraska Furniture Mart executives and Warren to go to China. You were doing some sourcing at that point. And, where you were doing your sourcing at that point versus now, I think is very interesting. Let's play a clip of that. That was a long time ago.
You've been going to China for how long?
About 10 years.
About 10 years for the business.
That's right.
And how much of your stuff comes from China right now?
Probably 75-80% comes from China today.
Where did it used to be? 10 years ago, where was most of the furniture coming from? United States.
North Carolina, mostly North Carolina.
And what's happened to the cost of furniture over the course of that time as you move from sourcing overseas?
It's gone down dramatically, and tremendous deflation in the category.
Yeah. Wow. And what?
Great values to the customer, though.
Yeah. What kind of things are we looking for this trip out?
This trip mostly case goods and some upholstery, sofas, love seats, along with bedroom sets, dining room sets, occasional tables.
All right, so that was 18 years ago. You were doing a lot of your sourcing in China at that point. It had moved from North Carolina. What's the picture look like now in terms of your sourcing?
The sourcing, in our case, other than about 10%, has moved to Vietnam, Cambodia, Malaysia, Indonesia. And, again, that's where cheaper labor had been. That's where the furniture industry has migrated to. There's still some electronic stuff coming out of China, and there's a couple categories that those countries haven't been able to produce at this point in time, but I'm sure there are a lot of people working towards those countries to figure out alternatives.
Yeah, that's why the stakes are so high for July 9th, right? Because
exactly.
They're very, very high stated tariff levels for those exporters.
Right.
Is there anything that would bring manufacturing back to the United States, North Carolina, or elsewhere?
It's interesting. I just came back from North Carolina last week, and it's a long process. I seriously doubt there's going to be a lot of manufacturing brought back to the U.S. You just got to figure out alternatives. We do about 25% of our business in the U.S. on U.S.-made domestic product or imported products in parts, and then they assemble them here. But I don't see it as a big opportunity over the long term.
Irv, I want to thank you for being with us. And by the way, you haven't changed in 18 years. It's great to still see you.
Thank you very much. Great to see you all.
Thank you.